While I was proofreading my current projects, Alexia Legends 1 and 2, I made a checklist of all the little inconsistencies I found as I went along so that I would remember to check them in both books. I thought this might be something worth sharing because there are just so many little details to go over while you're proofreading, so today I'll be sharing that list. This list is by no means comprehensive. These are just the things that I found inconsistencies with in my own writing, and I thought that you might like to see them with some examples. But first we have to talk about what a style guide is and why you need one. If you're going to have consistency in your book, which is an absolute must, then you're going to need a document detailing all the specifics that you have chosen for this book. These are going to be little things like hyphenation, capitalization, and italics. This is especially important if you are writing a series because these things are really easy to forget between one book and the next. So basically, a style guide is just a document that you make that details how you want things to look in your book. Each book and/or series that you write is going to have different needs and also just different preferences that you have for different books. And there is a lot of leeway in how you choose to present things to your readers. But it is really important to have consistency with things like capitalization, italics, and punctuation throughout a book or series, because these are things that readers will definitely notice. So for my personal style guide, I have broken it down into 6 different sections, and they are formatting, hyphens, do not hyphenate, words and phrases, punctuation, and capitalization. Again, these are just my book's needs, yours will vary. So my formatting section is just how I want special text formatted within my book. For example, one of my characters has psychic visions in Alexia Legends, so I want all of those visions to be both in floating paragraphs and italics, while also being written in present tense. And for things like signs or notes that are within the actual narration of the book, I want to have those italicized. And when the characters read text out loud in the dialogue, I put a single quote and courtesy space inside the double quotes. Again, just my preferences, do whatever you like, just be consistent. The hyphenation section is, as the name suggests, things that I want hyphenated, but it's also things which I just personally frequently forget to hyphenate. So things that I have in my hyphenation section are things like next door, midday, and Ildre, following a name. This is a special title of respect that is used in my fantasy world. I also have a do not hyphenate section because I'm picky like that. The words and phrases section is just a list of things that might have multiple spelling options where I want to make sure I use consistency. These are things like alright, good night, and toward. I have a tendency to accidentally use the British versions of these words a lot in my writing, so I have to go back and fix all those before I start editing. Punctuation has my choices for things like ellipses and em dashes. So, if an ellipses or em dash ends a sentence in dialogue, then the word after them is capitalized and in the sentence. This is probably kind of a controversial opinion out there, but I just think it reads better. And the last section that I have is special capitalizations, which is both for my fantasy words and just normal words when and where I choose to capitalize them. When I have this list here, I just bold the letters in the actual phrase that I want capitalized. It makes things easier. Okay, so here is my checklist of things that I need to check for my document. These are things that I frequently find inconsistent in my own writing and that I make sure to check while proofreading. I won't include anything that's specific to my style in this guide, but all I do for that is search for each instance of the word or phrase in the book and go through my whole style guide and do that. So first is add all front and back matter. I forgot to proofread my front and back matter one time. And there was an error. And I had to re-upload everything. Don't make my mistakes, kids. Next is to convert all quotes into smart quotes. This is both single and double. Next, I check for the number of cuss words that I use. I try to keep them minimal in my books as they are for young adults, so I just have to double, triple make sure that I don't have too many. Next is add non-breaking spaces for nested quotes. I use a lot of nested quotes in my dialogue, so it's best for formatting if you use a non-breaking space, if you, like myself, prefer the courtesy space. Another controversial opinion, I know. Next is to correct the punctuation in my nested quotes. This is probably the most complicated punctuation that I write within, quotes within quotes. The punctuation gets a little crazy there. So I like to double check all of it while I'm proofreading. I also want to make sure all ... dots are converted into non-breaking ellipses. Again, very important for formatting, especially with ebooks. Then I want to check for double spaces. These sneak in. Also, I want to check for capitalization of words from my style guide. So again, like I said, I'll go through my entire style guide and make sure everything is capitalized correctly. I also want to check my capitalization on compass directions. Of course, fantasy, we use a lot of let's head east or they went southwest. So I gotta check all of those, make sure they are correctly capitalized. Like I said, I accidentally used the British version of a lot of words, especially towards and backwards. So I do want to manually make sure that I check a couple of these things. Then I want to check all my special words and phrases for my formatting guide. And lastly, I want to check all capitalization of special words, names, and titles. Okay, so that's what I've got. That's kind of my running list of capitalization and errors to check. I do have a ton of individual words that I go through and check. Like I said, I didn't include any of these here. Most of them are just specific to me and my personal writing quirks, as we like to call them. So my personal version of this list is actually about 3 times longer, but like I said, this is just one that applies to more broad writing. What else did I not include in this list that you search for while you're proofreading? I'd be really interested to know those. If you'd like to dive into the world of Alexia, you can check out Age of the Gods and The Legend of Mendai, which are both free short stories that I have available on my website. I'll link them down below. Alright, that's all I got for you, so thanks for watching. Bye!